From our studios around the world, this is the Taste of Place podcast. Each month, we share stories from the keepers of culinary culture and heritage to spark ideas for your professional path or your next travel adventure. I'm your host, Erik Wolf. Thanks for listening. In this episode number 83, we meet Heike Winter, the founder and maker behind Must Heb, an award-winning artisanal mustard brand based on the Isle of Harris in Scotland's Outer Hebrides. Originally from Germany, Heike relocated to this Scottish island after a life-changing visit and decided to build a business rooted in organic ingredients, small-scale production, and deep respect for the place. Working from a converted shipping container and selling through honesty boxes, tastings, and direct-to-consumer channels, she has become a distinctive voice for independent food producers. Her work has earned international flavor awards and recognition as one of the UK's 100 most inspirational female entrepreneurs. This episode is sponsored by the World Food Travel Association's Taste of Place movement, a global initiative celebrating culinary culture, food heritage, and the makers who bring them to life. Together, we help travelers and consumers connect more deeply with destinations and products through their unique flavors and traditions. Learn more at jointasteofplace.org. Heike, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for the invite, Erik.
I'm delighted to meet you. You make a product, your range of mustards, that I think is something that's really undervalued in the world of eating and cuisine. And I was so delighted when I met you through the Scotland Food and Drink people, and they said, oh, you know what, I think we might have a guest for your podcast. And I thought, you know what, we need to learn more about mustard. So I'm glad you're here on the show today.
I'm glad to tell you everything you want to know, because really mustard is definitely an underrated condiment ingredient in the kitchen. Definitely, yeah. I'm convinced about that, yeah.
I would agree. And you're from Germany, right?
This is correct.
So Germans eat a lot of mustard, and the French eat a fair amount of mustard. But would you say, and you're living in Scotland now, would you say that the British eat a fair amount of mustard? British or Scottish?
It depends what you mean with a fair amount, but they eat mustard, but not that much than German and France people do, yeah.
Okay, very good. So your roots are from Germany, and you relocated to a remote Scottish island. I thought your story about how you got there was really fascinating. Could you walk us through the emotional journey that you went through on your relocation to the Isle of Harris?
So I've never heard of the Isle of Harris before. It is 13 years ago that my husband and we tried to find a destination where to go. And he suggested, what about Ireland? And I have to say, I'm not so very good in geography. And I said to him, what, do you know how far away Ireland is from Germany? And he was like, uh-huh. And I was asking for the map. He gave me the map. I closed my eyes and picked Harris. And he was quite impressed. He was in Scotland before. He visited the Orkneys. He was diving there. And the Western Isles were missing on his list. So he was happy with that destination. Not telling me that it is nearly the same way than Ireland, funny enough. Yeah, we came here with our little VW camper van in September 2012, discovered the islands from the south to the north. We had 3 weeks' time. And not far away from the place we live now here in Harris, the islands they are amazing. Every place, every edge, every corner, they are so wonderful and beautiful. But not far away from where we are now here in Harris, we had to stop the car. We looked both to each other. We had watering eyes, and we said, we have to live here. I've never ever experienced something like that before. It touched us in a way. And for my biggest fortune, it is that we both were touched in this way. So that we made the decision to move here. For the following 4 years then, we came for a holiday in winter, just to see how the winter is, because it is different, of course, to summer or September. But when you make the decision to move somewhere, then to me it is very important that you have to be happy there in winter as well. So it should not have been just a part-time thing. But we like the winter very much. This roughness, this it is just, we like it. And yeah, so 4 years later we moved, and I have never ever regret any second of that decision or any second of the time we are here.
That's fantastic. It's hard to find a place that speaks to you like that. How did you then end up in the mustard business?
Not sure if you will believe in that, but that is a crazy thing as well. So when we were here for, I think, 8 weeks, it was a really short time after we moved here, I dreamed a word, or I woke up in the morning with a word with 7 letters. That is the brand, my mustard. That is the name my mustard has now, Must Heb. But in the morning, I had no idea what Must Heb means. Must Heb. But this word did not disappear, so any other dreams are disappearing. So I had to discover what that word means. And when you live here, it is quite obvious that Heb is Hebrides. But what could be a Must Hebrides? I had absolutely no idea. And then other bits and pieces happened. I put a book back into the bookshelf in the living room, and another book, a German cookbook, fell out of the shelf and laid open. And there was one word, I don't know, crawling into my eyes, and that was Senf. Senf is the German word for mustard. And then I said loud to myself, what? I should do mustard here on the island. And then I got these goosebumps from the feet through the whole body and back and forth and back and forth. And I call that the skin of truth, because I know that if you have this feeling, and I'm pretty sure you have had this feeling as well, and lots of people know this feeling, and I call it the skin of truth. So when this happens, you have just to discover what that means and what is behind it. There is truth in it. So I went to my husband and I said to him, what do you think if I do mustard here on the islands? And he was like, why not? And that is such an amazing, encouraging answer. So it is not these saboteurs who say, Yuka, why, how would you do it? Where will you source the ingredients? And starting with all the things, what could come? No, it was just, why not? And it was, yeah, why not? And the idea gets so much power of it. And I went to an agency here in Stornoway on the Outer Hebrides. They advise you a little bit. They give you advice, and they listen to you. And the consultant I had there, she said to me, after I introduced her into my idea, she said, why not? We don't have a mustard maker here on the islands. It is a niche, but yeah, why not? So work on a business plan and then we will see. And the rest is history. I did that all and started. Nearly 9 months later, I sold the first jar of mustard, and that is now 8 years ago.
Excellent. And your mustard has done very well. You've won awards. How would you say that people are perceiving mustard as a product in general, and how are they responding to your mustards?
So we have a lot of international guests here, and that is easier with them than with the British people, because British people mostly know English mustard, and they love English mustard or the English style of mustard, or they don't like it. And German mustard or the German style of mustard is different to the English style of mustard. Whenever I can, I do tastings of the mustard. And when people taste the mustard, they are absolutely surprised. People who say, you know what, I don't like mustard, I'm not a huge mustard fan. I turn them into mustard lovers, and they are surprised how different this mustard or my mustard is to what they knew. And I also just like to educate or teach them a little bit what you can do with mustard. Quite often, people use mustard just as a condiment on the sausage, on a steak, or whatever. I had vegetarians and they were visiting me and they said, "Oh, sorry, I can't have mustard." And I said, "Well, of course you can mustard. There is no meat in the mustard." And she said, "Yeah, but I'm vegetarian." Sure, you can have mustard. Put mustard on your roasted vegetables, in gravies, in sauces, in dips, in you. There is such an you can do so much more with mustard than just using it with your sausage. So sometimes I feel I educate a little bit what you can do with mustard. Yeah.
I could see that, and I also could see how many of the British people are coming from the perspective of the staple Coleman's English mustard that they're used to, and then their eyes are awakened that there's actually different kinds of mustard in the world. They probably, I would say, largely know Grey Poupon as well as a Dijon style alternative to the English Coleman's mustard. But then after that, where do you go? And it looks like you've filled a gap in the market.
Some people, of course, know German mustard. They know flavored mustards. Yeah, but yeah, maybe I do.
Okay. So the next question that I'd like to ask you has to do with where you're located because I'm wondering how can you balance living in a remote place like you do, which is fantastic for the storytelling. You've got this cute area, your whole history about how you ended up there. The authenticity is great. The narrative that you can tell is great. But then you have the realities to deal with of scaling up and shipping your product and developing a supply chain and even export. How are you this world warehouse of mustard on the tiny island of Harris? How does that work living in a remote location but trying to run a brand like you are?
It is challenging. Sometimes I challenge my postie and the people who bring the ingredients. Yeah, it is challenging. Yeah. But I would never ever choose another place for doing it. So it is, of course, quite expensive to get my ingredients here. I don't grow the mustard myself. I'm not a mustard farmer. I'm the mustard maker. So I import my ingredients. I So for me, it is very important that I use organic ingredients. Unfortunately, I can't source organic mustard seeds in the UK, so I have to import them. That got a bit more trickier when the UK left the EU. So that is a bit more trickier now. It is quite cost intensive, get everything to the islands. Some suppliers even don't ship to the islands. Yeah, but in all these years, I have found my little tricks how to get the things here. I'm quite happy with how it is working now. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that when you travel to, let's say, Germany or another country that would be a better source for organic mustard seeds, you probably bring an empty suitcase and fill it with mustard seeds. Is that right?
No, I need
No,
more
you
mustard.
don't do that?
No, I need more mustard
Oh,
seeds than just fitting into my suitcase.
oh, okay, all right. So you're really
No,
bringing
the
quite a lot
mustard
each year.
the mustard comes on pallets in 25 kilos bags, and so the mustard seeds. So sorry, and this is not fitting it into my suitcase.
Wow, you're not kidding. That's yeah, when you're getting pallets of mustard seeds, yeah, that's not going to work on a suitcase. You'd
No,
be taking a whole shipping container.
no, I'm working in a shipping container, but I get a pallet of mustard seeds that's between 250 kilos to 500 kilo, and this is how it comes pallet-wise. Yes. And the jars,
Wow.
think about the jars. So there is
Yeah.
a lot of more you have to think about than just, oh yeah, there is somebody who sells 2 jars of mustard. Or so it is a bit more to think of. Yes.
So it's interesting because you have a product that you're creating locally, but the ingredients are not local. And I suppose you may have some people that are question you about the sustainability of importing all of those ingredients there. Has anyone ever brought that to your attention
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
challenged you on that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I am on that. Do you know what? I have been in contact with so many organizations in the UK, with the soil organization, etc., just to find somebody who grows organic mustard seeds. And since nearly since the beginning, I'm in contact with the chair of the Mustard Farmers Association down in England. And he, of course, wants to sell me his seeds. And I always tell him, you know what? As long as they are not organic, I can't buy them. And he got an award recently, I think 1 or 2 years ago, from the Prince of Wales. And what he told me is that the Prince said, Michael was wearing his yellow mustard tie, and the Prince said to him when he gave him the award, "Oh, do you know what? We have also mustard in the fridge, but it is an organic mustard." And everybody knows in the UK that the king and the whole royal family, that they are quite interested in organic food. And so that was the second time that somebody, in this case, the Prince of Wales, said to him that organic is important. And then
Hmm.
I think half a year later or whatever, I got the first message that he is on it and they will now see. Do you know what? You can't grow organic from 1 second to the other. You need proper soil for it. That needs
Yeah,
time until that is all ready for putting organic seeds in. And so
exactly. Yeah, it takes time.
see what
Yeah.
the future brings, but I'm on it.
Okay. Good for you. That's great. I wasn't expecting you to have such a prepared answer on that, but I think a lot of your customers would love to hear that. And you know what? There's certainly no harm either in doing things your way. You have a product and you just happen to be located where you are, and maybe the circumstances were not optimal when you started, but you're looking to improve things. Congratulations on that. It's a hard thing to do, but like you said, you're on it, so good job.
Yeah, and other things as well. So I got my garlic for the garlic mustard from a company on the mainland. Unfortunately, the company is not existing any longer. But meanwhile, I have a polycrop, and this year I start growing, or hopefully it will be finished next year, with my own garlic. And the herbs I'm using for the mustard, I'm growing myself. Yes, I'm on it.
Well done. You mentioned earlier about visitors. Do you have a place where visitors can come visit you, or do you have a gift shop? Or how does that work with visitors? How important are they to your business model?
So they are important because I want to spread the mustard into the world. I sell the mustard currently from a little honesty box at the roadside from a mustard shack that people just like. That is an honesty box, a system what is quite popular here in the Western Isles. So honesty box means you go there, you take out whatever you want, and then you put the money in a till. And my mustard shack is a kind of a landmark meanwhile. People just want to visit and take pictures of it with themselves in front of it and so on. And as I said before, I'm producing the mustard in a shipping container. And in the summer, I have a tasting tent outside that developed during COVID. Normally, I sell also the mustard, or I participate in with food festivals and craft fairs and so on, but that was, of course, not possible during COVID. So I developed the idea of having an outdoor whatsoever thing and bought a little gazebo, and people just like swinging by, having a mustard taste, speaking with me, and then they grab their mustard.
Nice. And you have some interesting flavors like licorice and Indian style. I'm wondering how you come up with the ideas for these new flavors. Is it maybe your background or food trends or maybe memories from childhood that influence you? How do you create these new flavors?
I think that is a mix of everything. The licorice mustard you mentioned, I'm just a licorice lover, so I had to make myself. I can only sell products what I like. So I'm a licorice lover, so I had to make a licorice mustard for myself. And how that thing developed then, that was really funny because when I have a finished product, and I think it is finished, then I try it for myself with lots of different things, with salmon or lots of things. And I had a glass of stout next to me of the Irish Guinness beer. And so I had the licorice taste, licorice mustard taste, and lots of things with it. And I had the glass of stout with me, and I was like, oh, that works nice. So I started the recipe development again, put some stout into the licorice mustard, and then really that was another dimension. And when this mustard won the International Flavor Award in Wisconsin, so gold for that mustard or for that flavor combination, that made me really proud because licorice is not something for everybody. And mustard is not something for everybody. And licorice mustard is really, people can't really think what to do with it. But with that international gold for this mustard, that really brings my little underdog. So this is how I call my licorice mustard. That brings him into a new atmosphere.
That's really interesting. I would like to plant a seed with you. We do a lot of work in Scandinavia, and all of the Scandinavians love licorice, and they also love mustard, but they're more used to the sweet dill mustard that I'm sure you're familiar with the Scandinavian style. But because of their love of licorice, I wonder if that's a new market for you.
There is licorice mustard in the world already, but not in
Oh,
the
you're
UK.
not the
So,
first?
no, I'm not the first, but I'm the first one who combines it
Okay.
with stout.
Oh, okay, okay. I love it. I would like to try that. It sounds really interesting, and clearly people like it because you won that award as well. Now, and speaking of awards, you were also recognized as one of the UK's 100 most inspirational female entrepreneurs in 2025.
Yes, yeah, beginning
How
of the year.
did that recognition affect you and your team and your brand? Did it change how you think about being a leader or growing the company?
It hasn't changed me, and it is a nice to have. But what really triggered me with it is just showing young women, girls, that you can reach whatever you want. You can reach any goal, and it doesn't matter what you want to do. Just do it. And that is, I heard from little girls here in my community that they were very proud, not of me, but of them being a girl, and that they
Mhm.
maybe reach something they never thought about before. So, yeah.
I think in today's world, a lot of times kids are left to their own devices and go to school and figure out your own life. And to be an inspiration for a child, here's something I could do when I grow up. I could start a food company. I could create, maybe I'm passionate about ice cream or vinegars or cheese or whatever it is. But I think the lesson here is that you're inspiring people in your community. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Now, have you been approached by any bigger stores about carrying your product?
I sell my mustard here on the islands in some dailies, and it fits a bit to my motto, growing in widening circles. So the Hebrides first, then Scotland, then the UK, and then Europe, and then the US or wherever, and the rest of the world. Yes. I sell the mustard online, and the packages are going to, to Australia, to Japan. Quite a lot of mustard goes into the US, the European market, of course. But this is what I'm doing online. So I have not yet, after Brexit, started the export again. But that is again on my list. I started that before Brexit, but then when that took place, there was a bit too much work involved. And so I said, I put that aside for now.
Yeah. It sounds like you have goals to clearly expand. Are you struggling with the balance of having this local product that you've got all these great stories about versus becoming a mass market product? Are you worried about that at all?
I don't want to become a mass market product. And no, I'm not struggling. I'm quite in a balance. I know what I can do. I know how much more I could do if I would employ 100 people, but that is not my goal.
Okay. So even if you grow, you'll still maintain the artisanal character and the great stories that go with your brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, to me, it would lose a lot of its character because all my passion goes into it. So I can't really see how I could put that passion into a mass market product.
Yeah. Yeah, Tesco's not really in the business of selling passion in their products. Waitrose perhaps a little bit more, but then again, you'd probably need a proper factory and not just your shipping container that you're making it in.
That is not in exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say that people are consuming more mustard, or what's the trend or the prognosis for the mustard category? Clearly, you're achieving success in it, and we identified early on in the show today that it's a product that really hasn't gotten, I think, its due fame. It's a great product, but often it's overlooked. Are people eating more of it, or what's happening with mustard?
So there is a slightly increase, but what I see is that people are more looking for it. So in general, that is not just for mustard, for organic quality, for clean food. Organic is more healthy. People are more interested in what is behind, how do they source, what is their engagement for the environment, for the climate, things like that. People are not willing to use these high processed foods, um, no chemicals, no flavor enhancers. This is what I see, what interests people most in these times.
Yeah, and that is the same that we're seeing with other people when they're traveling, when food lovers are traveling, whether it's for cheese or chocolate or olive oil or wine or beer, whatever the reason is. They are looking for more rural locations, or I hate to use the word authentic because it seems overused, but not just that they can find a product in a grocery store in the middle of a big city, but actually getting out of the big city and going to the producer and talking to them and meeting them and getting to know the dog, right? And taking pictures and sharing those stories when they get back home. That's the kind of culinary traveler that we're seeing now. There are different kinds of culinary travelers. There are the kinds that just want to go on a food tour and have fun and party and whatever. And they wouldn't be really the ones that I'm calling culinary travelers. Those are people who maybe just like food, but they're not really looking for the culinary culture. But it is this cultural aspect of gastronomy that people are looking more for, and it supports exactly what you were saying. The backstory about the food, where the products came from, the cleanness of the food. Absolutely, we're seeing much more of that. People are asking questions about where this came from and what's this E671 or whatever the number is on the label. I don't know what that is. And it's interesting to me because when I was living in the UK, we went through a phase where they started replacing all of the sugar in the sodas with these artificial sweeteners. And we don't use artificial sweeteners. Sugar is bad, I know that, but let me make the decision to either drink a soda with sugar in it, but I don't want your soda or I don't want your fruit juice even with the artificial sweeteners in it. And the UK government has taken that decision away from consumers, and it's terrible.
And that is the same with other things. And they don't tell people how dangerous these artificial sweeteners can be. That is the other side. You can't get any flour, any wheat flour, without additives. So that is exactly what you say. I want to make the decision. Give me lots of information, and then I make my own decision.
Yeah.
But
I think that the food lovers, the culinary culture lovers, they're at the avant-garde of this. They're the ones asking these questions. I think consumers in general maybe are not quite there yet, but I think more and more are starting to ask. It'll take some time though.
yeah, and information you have just to tell people what is on the market, how food can also poisoning you with all these high processed things in it. People need these informations, and then they can decide if they want. This is what I always said. My mustard is not organic certified. The organic certification costs quite a lot of money for a small producer.
Yeah.
I am. So for me, it would be the right thing if you have, let's say, pork with lots of antibiotics, that you can see that on the label. But no, it is
Yeah.
the other way around. If you have an organic pork, what has, I don't know, lots of good grass or whatever they eat, you have to certify that. You have to prove that you have given this pork good food. But you don't have to tell people that you have lots of nasty things in the pork or in whatever. The world is going crazy with all these certificates you need when you are an organic producer, because all my ingredients, they are already certified. They have a soil label whatsoever. So I put these ingredients now together, and for telling people or for having an organic label on my jars, I need a new organic certification. And I can't afford that. That is just too much for a small producer. So I would go the other way. You should really inform the customers or the customers. If, let's say, a pig was fed with lots of antibiotics or whatever they get, then you have to read that on the label. This pork was fed with antibiotics, and then I can make the decision, oh, it is cheap, so yeah, okay, I buy it, or I don't buy it.
So the rules are inconsistent. So
To
some
me,
industries are not subject to this kind of oversight or um, level of detail, whereas you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to do a good thing with already organic ingredients, and then it drives me crazy when this kind of thing is so expensive. And all the organic certifications they're inconsistent all over the world. You mentioned the Demeter one, but then there's Oregon Tilth and there's USDA organic, and nothing agrees. And can you imagine having to get each of those certifications? It's just you'd go out of business.
yeah, that is just
Anyway.
paperwork like hell.
Okay, so for our last question, I would like to ask you, eh, you are a story writer and a poetry writer, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. In my mother
Yeah.
language. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And I'm just wondering, has the business changed you and your love of poetry and story writing over the years, or how have you evolved as a person since you've been in the mustard business?
I think, oh, it is a good question. That is a very good question. I've never thought about that. I would say I'm a bit more brave. I became a brave heart since I'm here in Scotland. That has lots to do with living in another culture, finding your place. And yeah, also with by being a mustard maker and getting all this attention. So I would say, let's say 10 years ago or whatever, I would never ever had the idea of, let's say, speaking to you in a different language. Oh no, never. Yeah, but this is it's working now. It honestly, from what I did in my life before I became a mustard maker, I did lots of other things and had great skills. And these skills are now um, coming together with my passion for food so that it made me complete. Maybe I can say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. You've found your calling, we would say in English.
Okay.
Heike, thank you so much for your time today. It was really nice getting to know you and learn about your product and your vision and the industry. And I love working with people like you because you are the face of what makes our industry special. So
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
that's it for this episode of the Taste of Place podcast. This episode is brought to you by the World Food Travel Association and its Taste of Place movement. We'd like to hear from you. We invite you to share your ideas, questions, and thoughts about the podcast by contacting us through our website, or you can connect with us and comment about the show on major social media platforms. Special thanks to our guest, Heike Winter, and our sincerest thanks to you for joining us. I'm Erik Wolf, wishing you a safe, happy, and productive month ahead.